We're going to take a few minutes now to talk about the basics of using the HarpGuru app so that we can get you on your feet using the app as quickly as possible. First, let's talk about navigation. There isn't a great deal of navigation to deal with in the app. It's nice and simple. We do have two menus which can be accessed through these tabs on the right-hand side. Each of them can be opened by tapping on the tab, and they can be closed by swiping to the right. They can each be opened with a swipe to the left as well, but you just need to remember to swipe left with a tick down to open the top menu, and swipe to the left with the tick up to open the bottom menu. By the time you're using this app, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little cross in this corner here or somewhere else in the menu, since not everybody wants to use a swipe. One last little tip is that you can switch between menus by using the appropriate gesture for the other menu. So next I'll swipe left with a tick up, and then swipe left with a tick down. Now let's close these menus up and have a look at the main screen. So in the center of the screen, we've got the harp face. This is your visual representation of the harmonica. And in this mode, we can see that the scale degrees are represented on the harp face. So here we've got the root note as a 1, flat 3, 3, 5, 4, 6. And you can see that in the center, we have two rows of holes highlighted in gray. And what that highlighting means is that this is your home row. So these are the notes that you're going to get by blowing the top row and drawing the bottom row. So on hole 2 draw, you get a root note. On hole 3 draw, you get a third. And on 3 blow, you get the root again. Every hole on a column is the same hole. It's just being played in a different way. So up here is the blow, down here is the draw, here is the half step bend, here's the full step bend, and here's the triple bend on the 3 hole. Hopefully this is vaguely familiar to a lot of you, since this kind of representation exists all over the internet. If you're not familiar with it at the moment, you probably will be soon. And if you're not familiar with bending, again, don't worry, you probably will be soon. The great thing about harmonica is that everything you see here is fairly easy to pick up in concept. It's just very difficult to really internalize, and that's the point of this app. Even beginners should be able to understand what's represented here, but only real experts would be able to tell you everything from memory. And getting all of this into your memory is the goal of the app. Moving over to the left now, we've got this linear legend, which is an alternative representation of the holes that you've activated on your harp face over here. You can see this pink color over here is labeled as D, and over here on the harp face it's labeled as a flat 7. Well, in the key of E, the flat 7 is a D. So this is a linear representation of the scale that you're dealing with on your harmonica at the time. Right now we've got the blue scale highlighted, and many people won't have seen how this scale is laid out before in a linear fashion. So that by itself is already a new perspective on things for some people. Finally, if it wasn't obvious already, you can click on these holes to highlight them, and when they're highlighted on the harp face, they become highlighted in the linear legend as well. Next, we'll quickly talk about the options available in the menus. We'll start with the settings menu. In the settings menu, you've got your tuning, which some people might think about as the layout of the harmonica. Major diatonic is typically people's primary interest, but we've also got a country tuned harp here, and you can see in the background that what happened was the major 7 moved onto the 5-hole draw, and the flat 7 moved from the 5-hole draw down into the 5-draw bend. A minor change, but these two harmonicas are very similar. Bit more of a dramatic change. You can see a natural minor here. You can see that the flat 3 has moved up from the 3-hole half step bend to the 3-hole draw. Other tunings are on the way, including power bender and the wild tuning, which is already in development and due for release less than a week from the date of this video release. In the middle, we've got a display option. If you modify this, you'll see that now we have the pitches represented on the harp face and the scale degrees represented in the linear legend. Just in case this wasn't obvious, I'm modifying these options by swiping up or swiping down. Finally, on the right, we've got an experience mode. What experience mode means, I'll take recommendations on names for this. Experience was the best thing I could come up with. But basically, in explore mode, you can explore the harmonica face. You can start familiarizing yourself with what is there. And ultimately, you want to be able to start quizzing yourself on what's there. And that's why we have quiz mode. So if we close this menu down again, what's going to happen now, and I've made things very difficult for myself. Okay, this is an A harmonica, so this demonstration definitely should have taken place in degree mode because I'm much more familiar with that. Problem now is I'm on a natural minor harp and I never even picked one of these up before. So let's go back to major diatonic. Now I might have a chance. Okay, flat 5. So in this mode, you're basically challenging the knowledge of the harmonica face that you built up during the explore mode. And this is great for figuring out how confident you are about the layout of your harmonica. You might be surprised. I'm finding it quite difficult to talk and highlight these at the same time, but I definitely know more about this harmonica than I did before I made this app. Anyway, moving back out of that mode, let's have a look at the covariant menu. There'll be a dedicated video for this. It's not the most complex subject, but it is something which is interesting and detailed enough that I'm going to want to take the time to present a dedicated video on it. Anyone who's wanted to play the blues in E will have discovered that, oddly enough, what you have to do is buy an A harmonica and play it in second position. Similarly, if you wanted to play in F, you would need to be playing with a B flat harmonica. Now, as you vary two things in this menu, one thing has to stay the same. So here we're keeping second position as the same, and that means that as you vary the root pitch, i.e. the pitch that you're playing in, key that you're playing in, the harmonica key has to update. You can't play in a different key without either changing the harmonica that you're playing or changing the position. So now we could say we only have a D harmonica, so let's lock it by tapping on it so that root pitch and position vary together. You'll notice that the red padlock has moved to the harp key now. Well, if we want to be playing in B flat, well, that means that we're going to be playing in ninth position. Similarly, if we want to be playing in B flat, but we actually want to be playing in 10th position, then, well, you better go out and get a G harmonica. So as I say, we'll go over this in more detail in another video, but that's what that menu's for. Now I'll just turn on a few more of these harp cells again, just so we've got a bit of color on the screen as I sign off for the day. I think that's a basic overview of everything that we have here. There's lots of depth to discover about each of these modes, options, and ways of interacting with this modeling system. A surprising amount of depth, actually, and I look forward to presenting those to you in upcoming videos.